शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹர ஹரோஹர. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரௌ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரௌ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः. कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കനായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so we'll do a quick review of 68 and then 74. So mathing in 68 பண்றீங்களா?
Dasakam 68. Gopina Parama எனக்கு சொல்ல தெரியல, நான் இப்ப பாடுறேன். நான் Om Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Tava Vilokanath Krishna Gopika Janaha Paramada Shankula Krishna Pankaje Kshana Amrutadaraya Krishna Sampluta Yiva Stimitatam Tadu Krishna Tvat Purogataha Tadanuka Krishna Tatkarambujam Sapadi Grihnate Krishna Nirvishankitam Ganapayodare Krishna Sannidayasa Polaka Samvrata Krishna Tastusi Chiram Tava Vibho Para Krishna Komalambujam Nijam Galantare Krishna Paryaveshtayat Galasamudgatam Krishna Pranamarutam Pratinirundadeva Krishna Ati Arshula Apagatrapa Krishna Kapi Kamini Tava Mukambujat Krishna Pogacharvitam Patigrihanya Tat Krishna Vaktra Pankaje Nidadate Kata Krishna Purna Kamatam
அந்த மத்திங்க இந்த தேர்ட் லைன்ல பிரதிகிருஹைய
Pratigrihaya Tat Krishna Vaktra Pankaje Nidadate Kata Krishna Purna Kamatam Vikaruna Vane Krishna Samvihayamam Apagato-sika Krishna Twamiha Sprushite
ஸ்வாமிஹ ஸ்பிருஷே
Twamiha Sprushet Iti Saroshaya Krishna Tavadikaya Sajalalochanam Krishna Vikshito Bhavan Iti Muda Kulai Krishna Pallavi Janaihi Samam Upagato Krishna Yamunitate Mrudukuchambarai Krishna Kalpitasane Krishna Vasure Krishna Paryashobataha Kativida Kripa Krishna Kepi Sarvato Tritadayodhaya Krishna Kechidashrite Katichide Chide Drisha Krishna Matrisheshvapiti Abhihito Bhavan Krishna Vallavi Janaihi Ai Kumarika Krishna Naiva Sankyatam Katinita Mayi Krishna Katinata Mayi Krishna Prema Katare Mayi tu Chetaso Krishna Vonu Vrittaye Kritamidam Maya Krishna Ityujivan Bhavan Ayi Nisham Yatam Krishna Jiva Vallabaha Priyatamo Jano Krishna Nedrusho Mama Tatiha Ramyatam Krishna Ramyayaminishu Anuparodamiti Krishna Alapo Vibho Iti Grihadikam Krishna Modam Meduraihi Rajavado Janai Krishna Saka Maraman Kalita Kautuko Krishna Rasa Keline Guru Puri Pate Krishna Pahimam Gatat Om Krishna Parabrahmane
தேர்டில் மட்டும் ராச கேலனே அந்த வேர்டு
Rasa Kelane. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Okay, since we have a small group, I think whoever wants to do 74, you can do. The other 4 I'll pick for students today. So.
Okay. You want me to do 74?
Yeah, I think Sujata pandra.
I can also do that.
Yeah, I think Sujata can do. First. That's all. I'm just going by who said first. So.
Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha Bhagavato Madhurapuri Pravesha Rajaka Nigraha वायकमालाकर कुब्जानुग्रह धनुर्भंगादि वर्णनं च संप्राप्तो मथुरां दिनार्तविगमे तत्रान्तरस्मिन् वसन्नो आरामे विहिताशनः सखिजनैर्यातः पुरीमीक्षितुम् प्रापो राजपथं चिरश्रुतिधृतव्यालोककौतूहल स्त्रीपुंसोद्यतगण्यपुण्यनिगलैः आकृष्यमाणोऽनु किम् त्वत्पादद्युतिवत्सरागसुभगाः त्वन्मूर्तिवद्योषितः सम्प्राप्ता विलसत्पयोधररुचो लोलाभवदृष्टिवत् आदिन्यस्त्वा दुरस्थलीवदयिते मन्दस्मितप्रौढिवत् नैर्मल्योलसिताः कचौगरुचिवद्राजत्कलापाश्रिताः तासामाकलयन्नपाङ्गवलनैः मोदं प्रहर्षाद्भुतव्यालोलेषु जनेषु तत्तरजकं कञ्चित् पटिं प्रार्थयन्नु कस्ते दास्यति राजकीयवसनं याहीति तेनोदितः सद्यस्तस्य करेण शीर्षमहृताः सोऽप्यापपुण्यां गतिम् भूयो वायकमेकमायतमतिं दोषेण वेषोचितं दाश्वांसं स्वपदं निनेथ सुकृतं को वेद जीवात्मनाम् मालाभिस्तबकैः स्तवैरपि पुनर्मालाकृतो मानितो भक्तिं तेन वृतां दिदेशिथ परां लक्ष्मीं च लक्ष्मीपते.
The third line in the second half, Punar Mala Krita Manito.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. कुब्जामब्ज विलोचनां पति पुनर्दृष्ट्वाङ्गरागे तया दत्ते साधु किलाङ्गरागमददाः तस्या महान्तं हृदि चित्तस्तामृजुतामथ प्रथयितुं गात्रेऽपि तस्या स्फुटं गृह्णन् मञ्जुकरेण तामुदनयः तावजगत्सुन्दरीम् तावन्निश्चित वैभवास्तव विभो नात्यन्त पापा जनाः यत्किञ्चित् ददते स्म शक्त्यनुगुणं ताम्बूलमाल्यादिकम् गृह्णान कुसुमादिकिञ्चन तदा मार्गे निबद्धाञ्जलिः नातिष्ठं बतः यतोऽद्य विपुलामार्तिं व्रजोमि प्रभो येष्यामीति विमुक्तयापि भगवन् आलेपदात्यातया दूरात् कातरया निरीक्षितगतिः वं प्राविशो गोपुरम् आघोषानुमितत्वदागम महाहार्षोल्लल देवकी वक्षोज प्रगलत्तयोरसमिषातु त्वत्कीर्तिरन्तर्गता आविष्टो नगरी महोत्सववती कोदण्डशालां व्रजन्नो माधुर्येण नु तेजसानुपुरुषैः दूरेण दत्तां तरः स्रग्भिर्भूषितमर्चितं वरधनुर्मामेति वादात् पुरः प्रागृह्णः समरोपयः किल समाक्राक्षीरभाङ्क्षीरपि स्वः कंसक्षपणोत्सवस्य पुरतः प्रारम्भतूर्योपमश्चापध्वंस महाध्वनिस्तव विभो देवानरोमाञ्चयत् कंसस्यापि च वेपदुस्तदुदितः कोदण्डकण्ठद्वयी चण्डाभ्या हतरक्षिपूर्शरवैः उत्कूलितो भूत्वया शिष्टैर्दुष्टजनैश्च दृष्टमहिमा प्रीत्या च भीत्या ततः सम्पश्यन् पुरसम्पदं प्रविचरन् सायं गतो वाटिकाम् श्रीदाम्ना सह राधिका विरहजं खेदं वदन् प्रस्वपन्नो आनन्दन्नवतारकार्यघटनाद् वातेश संरक्ष माम्.
Narayanaya
Shri
Brahmane
Krishna
Namaha.
Parabrahmane Namaha.
Very good. Well, I think you really practiced well, or you knew it thoroughly. So either one, but
Yeah.
very good. Okay, so we'll continue with 75 today. I think we'll just do 75 today. So okay, Minu, Ninglu, and Ushagar, you can be student first half. Vasanta, Lata, you can be second half. Okay. Okay, so 75 is a continuation of 74. So 75 is Kamsa Vada Varnanam. That's the description of the chapter. Stanza 1. Pratah santrasta bhoja kshitipati vachasa prastute mallaturhye sange rajñam cha manchanabhiyayushi gate nanda gopepi harmyam kamse saudhadi rudhe tomapi sahabala sanugascharu rangadwaram gato bhuh kupita kubalaya pidanaagavalidham. So the 74th chapter we kind of wrapped up by talking about how Krishna, Balarama, and some of Nanda Gopa and some of Krishna's and Balarama's friends, everybody had entered Mathura, and how they their reputation had preceded them, but they also did a lot of activities. And the end we kind of talked about how the people of Mathura were now beginning to see, just like how the people of Vrajabhumi, Vrindavan thought that these are probably demigods, given the kind of strength they are actually showing and everything, right? And we also saw how Kamsa that particular night could not sleep at all, right? Because he anyway has been thinking about this eighth son who was there somewhere. Now he knows who the eighth son is, and then that person has now come to his doorsteps, right? And then they talk about how Krishna very easily wielded that bow and then hit all those people and broke the bow. So now he was he couldn't actually go to sleep. He was thinking about Krishna the whole night, right? And that is something that is going to come later, right? I think in Krishna Avataram, like we said, you can think of Krishna any way you want. You can hate, you can love, you can want to marry, anything. But the point is to be thinking about him, and that's what Kamsa was doing, because he couldn't sleep that night. It talks about how he had all these bad omens, and then he saw Krishna in front of him every time. He couldn't close his eyes. Even when he closed his eyes, he saw Krishna in front of him because he was scared, because he was afraid that Krishna is going to kill him the next day. So the next day morning, the bow festival, which was scheduled to happen, right? So Kamsa, then he's the king. So he wakes up, or when in the morning he comes, and then he officially starts the bow festival. So when he starts the bow festival, he had invited a lot of people, all the neighboring kingdoms, everybody comes, Nanda Gopa, all of them come, and they are all seated in the respective places. And Kamsa is seated on the top dais, right, where he's getting ready for this events to happen. So at that time, Krishna and Balarama also enter the arena. So Kamsa had already planned two things. One was there is an elephant called as Kuvalaya Pida, which is coming in the last line. That is the name of that elephant. He had already told the Mahout that when Balarama and Krishna come, you have to kind of get the elephant to get rid of them. So when Krishna and Balarama are coming, they're obstructed at the entrance by this elephant Kuvalaya Pida. So Prataha put is Pratas Santrasta Bhoja Kshiti Pati Vachasa, Prastute Mallaturye, Sange Rajñam Cha Manchan Abhiyayushi, if you want to break it, Manchan Abhiyayushi, Gate Nanda Gopepi Harmyam. Pratasantrasta Bhoja Kshitipati Vachasa Prastute Mallaturye Sanghe Rajñam Cha Manchan Abhiyayushi Gate Nanda Gopepi Harmyam.
प्रातः सन्दरस्तभोज क्षितिपति वचसा प्रस्तुते मल्लधूर्ये संगे राज्ञां च मञ्जानपीययुषि गते नन्दगोपेऽपि हर्म्यम्.
Right? Sorry, in the Yushi kapran there is a comma. Manchanabhiyayushi, comma.
गते नन्दगोपेऽपि हर्म्यम्. प्रातः सन्दरस्तभोजशीदिपति वचसा प्रस्तुते मल्लधूर्ये संगे राज्ञां च मञ्जानपीययुषि गते नन्दगोपेऽपि हर्म्यम्.
प्रातः संत्रस्तभोजक्षितिपति वचसा प्रस्तुते मल्लतूर्ये संघे राज्ञां च मञ्चानभिययुषि गते नन्दगोपेऽपि हर्म्यम् प्रातः सन्त्रस्तभोजक्षितिपतिवचसा प्रस्तुते मल्लतूर्ये संघे राज्ञां च मञ्चानभिययुषि गते नन्दगोपेऽपि हर्म्यम्.
Sure, again, the gate is a comma and then the gate nandagopepi harmyam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manchana gate gopepi harmyam. Thanks.
Kamse saudhadhi rudhe, comma, tvamapi sahabalaha, put is sahabalas, sanugash charuvesho, comma, rangadwaram gato bhuhu, comma, kupita kuvalayapida naga validham. Kamse saudhadi rudhe tvamapi sahabalas sanugascharuvesho rangadwaram gato bhuhu kupita kuvalayapida naga validham.
कंसे सौदाधिरूढे त्वमपि सह बलाः सानुकश्चारुवेशो रङ्गद्वारं गतो भूः कुपित कुवलया पीडनागावलीडम् कंसे सौदाधिरूढे त्वमपि सह बलाः सानुकश्चारुवेशो रङ्गद्वारं गतो भूः कुपित कुवलया पीडनागावलीडम्.
And the gato bhuhu கொஞ்சம் pause. Okay.
எங்க
The fourth line after gato bhuhu. Yeah.
कंसे सौधाधिरूढे त्वमपि सहबलः सानुगाचारुवेशो रङ्गद्वारं गतो भूः कुपितकुवलया पीडनागावलीडम् कंसे सौदाधिरूढे त्वमपि सहबलः सानुगाचारुवेशो रङ्गद्वारं गतो भूः कुपितकुवलया पीडनागावलीडम्.
Ushaguru, the third line, right? In the sanugash, there's a ish sound there. You have an ish, right?
Sanugash. Okay.
Yeah. Sanugash charuvesho. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Yeah. Sanugash.
Answer 2. Papishthāpehi margā drutamiti vachasa nishthura kruddha buddhehe ambashtasya pranodādadika javajusha hastina grihyamānah kelhi muktot gopi kuchakalasha chiraspardhinam kumbhamasya vyahatyālīyatāstvam charana bhuvi punarnirgato valguhasi. So when this elephant was about to block the way to the entrance, right? So at the time, Krishna and Balarama and all the boys who are also there, so they tell the Mahoot that, to tell the elephant to move out of the way so they can actually get in. But this Mahoot is standing there for a reason. So he's actually prodding the elephant. They sometimes poke the elephant or the bull, right, to kind of trigger it. So that's what he's doing. He's poking that elephant to get it triggered. So now this elephant starts running towards Krishna and Balarama with full speed. And then it first comes and then it grabs Krishna by the trunk. And then when it comes and grabs Krishna by the trunk and it lifts him, so he then is able to climb. And then what it takes is that all these elephants have a bulge in the top of their head, right? So it says here first Krishna hits the elephant in the bulge, then it lets him go. Then he goes and hides between the legs of the elephant, right? And that little kind of a fight is going to happen for a couple of stanzas here. So here he's going and hiding between the legs of the elephants, and then he comes out of it smilingly, and the elephant is now going to look for him. Papishtha pehi margad drutamiti vachasa, comma, nishthura kruddha buddhehe. Put a visargan, comma, buddhehe. Next, the ra is there. It becomes a a. Ambashtasya. So the next word, pranodad adhika. It's easy to break it. The second da, you put a it and a, then you'll be able to say it easily. Pranodad adhika javajusha, comma, hastina grihyamanaha. Papishtha pehi marga drutamiti vachasa निष्ठुर क्रुद्ध बुद्धेः अम्बष्ठस्य प्रणोदादधिगजवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः
पापिष्टा बेहि मार्गात् धृतमिति वचसा निष्ठु sorry, did you say anything?
No.
Sorry. पापिष्टा बेहि मार्गात् धृतमिति वचसा निष्ठुरकृतबुद्धेः अम्बष्टस्य प्राणोदात् अधिगजवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः.
The first line kruddha buddhehe, both of them have two das. Nishtura, first line, last word.
Krutta buddhehe.
Kruddha buddhehe.
Nishtura krutta buddhehe.
Yeah, correct.
पापिष्टा बेहि मार्गात् धृतमिति वचसा निष्ठुरकृतबुद्धेः अम्बष्टस्य प्राणोदात् अतिगजवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः.
पापिष्टापेहि मार्गात् धृतमितवचसा निष्ठुरक्रुद्धबुद्धेः अम्बष्टस्य प्रणोदादधिगजवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः.
Shakaru, that first line, last word, buddhehe.
बुद्धेः. Okay. पापिष्टापेहि मार्गात् धृतमितवचसा निष्ठुरक्रुद्धबुद्धेः अम्बष्टस्य अम्बष्टस्य प्रणोदात्
You break it at that pranodat adhika javajusha.
Okay. अम्बष्टस्य प्रणोदा अधिगजवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः.
On the first line, Ushagaru, marga drutamiti, e sound, right? Drutamiti.
Drutamiti. Okay.
Yeah.
Papishthapehi margad.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Drutamiti. Okay.
Keli muktota, comma, gopi kucha kalasha chira spardhinam kumbhamasya, comma, Vyahatyaliyatas, that's one word. Vyahatyaliyatas tvam charana bhuvi, comma, punar nirgato valguhasi. Kelhi muktot gopi kuchakalasha chiraspardhinam kumbhamasya Vyahatyaliyatas tvam charana bhuvi punar nirgato valguhasi.
केली मुक्तोत गोपी कुच कलश स्थिरस्पर्धिनं कुम्भमस्य व्याहत्यालीयतस्त्वं चरणभुवि पुनर्निर्गतो वल्गुहासि.
The third line, the Keli Muktota, அதுக்கப்புறம் there's a comma. Third line.
केली मुक्तोत गोपी कुच कलश शिरस्पर्धिनं कुम्भमस्य व्याहद्यालीयदास्त्वं चरणभुवि पुनर्निर्गतो वल्गुहासि.
केलिमुक्तोऽथ गोपी कुचकला सचिर केलिमुक्तोऽथ गोपी कुचकला शचिरस्पर्धिनं कुम्भमस्य व्याहत्यालीयथास्त्वं चरणभुवि पुनर्निर्गतो वल्लहासि. केलिमुक्तोऽथ गोपी कुचकला सचिरस्पर्धिनं कुम्भमस्य व्याहत्यालीयतास्त्वं चरणभुवि पुनर्निर्गतो वल्लहासि.
Valguhasi. This is a little bit of a tough chapter, so we'll take our time this way. Today we only do this. So, stanza 3. Hasta prapyopyagamyo झटिति मुनिजनस्येव धावन् गजेन्द्रम् क्रीडन्नापात्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततस्तस्य दन्तं सजीवम् मूलादुन्मूल्य तन्मूलगमहितमहामौक्तिकान्यात्ममित्रे प्रादास्त्वं हारमेभिर्ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति. So now, because Krishna is going and hiding between the legs of the elephant of course cannot see. However, it has a sense of smell. So with its smell, it is trying to sniff out where Krishna is, and then when he tries to grab Krishna again. So here Bhattacharya says, how all these great sages who keep meditating on you, you are in your meditation, you think you are about to get hold of the God, but suddenly some distraction comes and then you're losing control. So similarly, that's what was happening with the elephant. Kuvalayapida was about to get Krishna, then suddenly Krishna slips out and goes out of control. So essentially what he's doing is he's hiding and running around and everything and playing around with the elephant kind of as a game. And the elephant is not able to get hold of it. So finally, at one point when Krishna then, what he does is he manages to hold the tail and pushes the elephant to the ground. And in front of all these people, he's an 11-year-old boy, right? 10 years, little less than 11 years when the Kamsa Vadam happens. So with the tail, he's able to drag the elephant across the entire arena. So everybody is like really getting amazed because such a massive elephant. And then eventually he then puts the elephant to the ground and there's a kind of a fight that happens and eventually the elephant is dead. And then Krishna then removes the trunk and then the tusk of the elephant, right? And here it says that when he removes the tusk of the elephant, there are pearls which are embedded at the back of the tusk of the elephants. So here he's pointing to his Gopa friends and saying that, the pearls which are coming, make a jewel out of this for Radhika. That is not there in Bhagavatam, but Bhattacharya is saying that go make a jewel out of this for Radhika, and then he points to that. But essentially the Kuvalayapida is dead, right? And then Krishna and Balarama now have the tusks. Hasta prapyopya gamyo, jhatiti munijanas eva dhavan gajendram, क्रीडन् नापात्य भूमौ, पुनर abhipatatas, if you want to break it, punar abhipatatas tasya dantam sajivam. Hastaprapyopyagamyo jhatiti munijanasyeva dhavan gajendram क्रीडन् नापात्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततस् तस्य दन्तं सजीवम्.
हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटिति मुनिजनस्येव तावन्द हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटिति मुनिजनस्येव तावन् गजेन्द्रं क्रीडन्नाभत्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततस्तस्य दन्तं सजीवं. हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटिति मुनिजनस्येव तावन् गजेन्द्रं क्रीडन्नाभत्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततस्तस्य दन्तं सजीवम्.
हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटितमुनिजनस्येव धावन् गजेन्द्रम् क्रीडन्नापात्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततस्तस्य दन्तं सजीवम्. हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटितमुनिजनस्येव धावन्
झटिति मुनिजनस्.
झटिति, ओके. हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटिति मुनिजनस्येव धावन् गजेन्द्रम् क्रीडन्नापात्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततस्तस्य दन्तं सजीवम्.
मूलात् उन्मूल्य, तन्मूलग महित महा मौक्तिकान्यात्म मित्रे, put a plus, pradastvam and then a comma. So Moolad Unmulya, the whole thing together, then Pradastvam, Haramebhir Lalita Virachitam Radhikayai Disheti. So like I was telling, there are only, in Bhagavatam, there's no mention of Radha, right? I think I must have said In Narayaneeyam also, there are only 3-4 places where Bhattaripad uses the word Radha or Radhika to refer, right? This is one place. There are a few others which come in between, right? Just before Rasa Krida Varnanam, right? So that's all. But here he's just saying to make a jewel for Radhika. Mooladunmulya तन्मूलगमहितमहामौक्तिकान्यात्ममित्रे प्राधास्त्वं हारमेभिर्ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति.
मूलादुन्मूल्य तन्मूलकमहित महामौक्तिकान् यात्ममित्रे प्रादास्त्वं हारमेभिर्ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति. मूलादुन्मूल्य तन्मूलकमहित महामौक्तिकान् यात्ममित्रे प्रादास्त्वं हारमेभिर्ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति.
मूलादन्मूल्य तन्मूलगमहित महामौक्तिकान्यात्ममित्रे प्रादस्त्वं हरमेभिर्ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति.
Oh, Shankar, fourth line after Pradastvam, there is a comma.
Okay. Mooladunmulya.
Unmulya. Sorry. Moolad unmulya.
Dunmulya. Okay. Mooladunmulya tanmulagama mahamouktikanyatmamitre pradastvam
Haramebhir lalita.
हारमेभिर्ललिता विरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति.
And so forth. Grinhanam dantamamse yutamata halina rangamanga vishantam twam mangalyanga bhangi rabasakrita manolochana viksha lokaha hamho dhanyo hi nando nahi nahi pashupalanganaha no yashodha no dhanye kshana smastri jagadi vayame veti sarve shashamsuhu. So now Krishna and Balarama now enter that arena. So this battle that was happening was little bit happening outside the arena. So both of them enter the arena with each having their tusk on their shoulder, right? And when they enter, when Kamsa sees that how this Kuvalaya Pida was gotten rid of so easily by Krishna, so he was of course getting overwhelmed with anxiety. Now all the people who are present there, right? It talks about how each one was looking at Krishna differently. So there are some wrestlers who are there who Krishna and Balarama are going to fight with. So for them, it's an idea of what their opponent is going to be, a very strong opponent who's actually entering in. That's how they look at it. The men of Mathura who are there, so they are looking at these boys and Krishna as, one of the best of males. So very strong males who are actually there. It talks about how some of the women who are there look at Krishna as a lover. They're saying, you know what, such a handsome person and a very strong person. So they're falling in love with him. Then, of course, the Gopas who are present there, for them, Krishna is a relative. He's part of the family. So they have a different feeling towards Krishna. So they have that look. And there are some other kings and then Kamsa also has 8 brothers. So for all of them, Krishna is kind of, like an enemy, right? That's how they look at it. Both his Vasudeva, Devaki are present there. Nandagopa is present there. So for them, they are looking at him as like the son, of course. And then, of course, finally, Kamsa is looking at it as death. He's now pretty much sure that, this person who's going to kill me is right here and is exhibiting all his strength. So he's getting even more scared. So all these people discuss, right? That's what the last 2 stanzas are. They're saying, Hamho dhanyo hi nando. Says Nandagopa is very blessed because this Krishna is with Nandagopa, right? He grew up with Nandagopa. People are saying, no, nahi means no. It's a Pashupalanganaha. It's the people who grew up with Krishna who are blessed because they are able to spend all their time with Krishna. So they are the blessed ones. Some people say, no, Yashoda, his mother is the blessed one because, she is the one who spent most time with Krishna. So she is the best one. And then, however, then everybody says, no, it's not them. It's the Sri Jagati, all the people who are present, who are here, who are witnessing Krishna live, right? They are the blessed ones because they are having this opportunity to see him live. with this way, everybody is discussing about Krishna's greatness as Krishna and Balarama enter into the arena. Grinnanam Dantamamse, Yutamata Halina, Rangam Angha Vishantam, if you want to break it, Rangam Angha Vishantam, Twam Mangalyanga Bhangi Rabhasa Krita Mano Lochana Viksha Lokaha. So second line, there's no pause. Grinnanam Dantamamse Yutamata Halina Rangamanga Vishantam Twam Mangalyanga Bhangi Rabhasa Krita Mano Lochana Viksha Lokaha.
Grinnanam dandamamse yudamadahalina rangamanga vishantam Tvam mangalyanga bhangirabhasa Srudamano lochana vikshya lokaha. Grinnanam dandamamse yudamadahalina rangamanga vishantam Tvam mangalyanga bhangirabhasa Srudamano lochana vikshya lokaha.
Grinnanandantamamse Yutamadhalina Rangamanga Vishantam Tvam Mangalyanga Bhangiraba Samvrutamano Lochana Vikshya Lokaha. Grinnanandantamamse Yutamadhalina Rangamanga Vishantam Tvam Mangalyanga Bhangiraba Samvrutamanulochana Vikshya Lokaha.
Again, because you're breaking the word Rabasa, you're breaking it into parts. If you keep the word Rabasa together, right, then it will land. Twam Mangalyanga Bhangi Rabasa Kritamano Lochana Viksha Lokaha. Okay, so I think that's it. I think you were trying to break that word, Ushaguru. That's right.
Can I try one more?
Yeah.
Mangalyanga Bhangirabasa Frutamano Lochana Vikshya Lokaha.
Yeah. Hum ho dhanyo hi nando, nahi nahi Pashupalanganaha. Put a visarga there and put a comma. Pashupalanganaha, No Yashoda, again. No Dhanyekshanaha. Put a is. Dhanyekshanas smas trijagati, Vayame veti sarve shashamsuhu. Ham ho dhanyo hi nandho, nahi nahi pashupalanganaha. No Yashoda, no dhanyekshana smastri jagati, vayame veti sarve shashamsuhu.
Ham ho dhanyanunando nahi nahi pashupalanganaha no yashoda no dhanyekshana smastri jagati vayame vedi sarva shashamsu.
Shashamsuhu.
Suhu. Okay, suhu.
And the thing, and did you combine the third and fourth? There's no add. It's a comma at the end of no Yashoda.
Pashupalanganaha no Yashoda.
On the end of that line. Okay.
Oh, no comma there?
No, there's a comma there.
Yeah, okay. Ham ho danyo nunando nahi nahi pashupalangana no Yashoda no dhanyekshana smastri jagati vayame vedi sarve shashamsuhu.
Yeah, I think in the third and fourth line, you're adding it together. You're saying no Yashoda, no. And the no Yashoda kapran, there's a comma, right? Now, because there's multiple commas there, you have to just, it may not land normally. So, ham ho dhanyo hi nando, nahi pashupalanganaha, no Yashoda, no.
One more time.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Ham ho danyo nunando nahi pashupalanganaha no Yashoda no dhanyekshana smastri jagati vayame vedi sarva shashamsuhu.
Yeah. And the third line, Meenu, do you have dhanyo nunando? Danyo hi nando. If you have a nu, I think I heard nu.
Yeah, it says no.
Amma, enakkum no da irukku.
Okay, can you change it to hi? Hi, like short
He?
hi.
Okay.
Yeah, ham ho danyo hi nando.
Oh, the new he. Okay.
It's a small he, right?
Yeah, small hi, yeah.
Amho danyo nu nando. Sorry. Amho danyo nu nando nahi nahi Pashupalanganaha no Yashoda no danyekshana jagati vayo me veti sarve shashamsuhu.
Usha Garu, that again, third line. Ham ho danyo hi nando. Hi, not nu. Just change it to hi.
Danyo nu. I have
Danyo hi.
danyo. Danyo.
Danyo hi nando.
Okay, danyo. हम हो धन्यो हि नंदो नहि नहि पशुपालांगनाः नो यशोदा नो धन्येक्षणास्मति जगति वयमेवेति सर्वे शशंसुः.
Answer Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanai Stavada Vedito Bhuhu Drishtva Tattvam Tadedam Pratamam Upagate Punyakale Janoghaha Purnananda Vipapa Sarasamabijaguhu Tvatkritani Smrithani. So as this citizens of Mathura were looking at both Krishna and Balarama coming there, then they were really beginning to get amazed, at who these people are. Because it says not everybody there knew about that you both are Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat, that you both are the supreme Brahman who has taken incarnation in front of them. And nobody knew about that, right? Only Vasudeva and Devaki knew, but even then, they were also over a period of time, when it's your own child, then somehow that also clouds, right, your thinking. So, but nobody else knew, but somehow they were all feeling, extremely happy because for them it says Punya Kale Janogaha. So for all the people who are present there, the good time has started because they are able to get vision of the Lord and they're seeing you for the first time, or whoever is seeing you for the first time, they were in a state of bliss. And we also saw that when Krishna and Balarama entered Mathura, how everybody felt, right? So it just talks about how for you now, for all these people there, the good time is starting because Krishna and Balarama are there and they are there and they all start talking about all the great deeds which they have done in Mathura, in Gokulam and Vrindavan, starting from Putana, Trinavarta, all these things, and saying that this is definitely some great, we are all lucky to witness who these people are, how Krishna and Balarama are here. And they started narrating everything and then were extremely happy as well and remembering all the good things here. So Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat. So you'll have a in and ni, you'll have that. So you remove one of that na out and put a it. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat, comma. Then the next word becomes Niravadhi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham, comma. Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi. Put a visarga and comma. On top of that na, there is a ir that goes away. Na khalu bahu janais tavad avedito bhuhu. It's tavad avedito bhuhu if you want to break it, or you can say that together. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadhi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Na khalu bahu janais tavad avedito bhuhu.
Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravati Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshodvam Vyalasihi Nakalu Bahujanaistavada Vedido Bhuhu. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravati Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshodvam Vyalasihi Nakalu Bahujanaistavada Vedido Bhuhu.
Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanaistavadi Stavada Vedito Bhuhu. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat निरवधि परमानन्दसान्द्र प्रकाशम् गोपेषु त्वं व्यलासीः न खलु बहुजनैस्तावदावेदितो भूः
दृष्ट्वा त्वां तदेदं प्रथमम् उपगते पुण्यकाले जनौघाः पूर्णानन्दा विपापाः put is vipapas sarasamabhijaguhu. That is there, you remove it, put a visarga comma, sarasamabhijaguhu tvat kritani smritani. Both of them are short is, kritani smritani. दृष्ट्वा तत्त्वां तदेदं प्रथममुपगते पुण्यकाले जनौघाः पूर्णानन्दा विपापा सरसमभिजगुः त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि.
दृष्ट्वा दत्त्वां तदेदं प्रथममुपगते पुण्यकाले जनौकाः पूर्णानन्दा विभावा सरसमभिजगुः त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि. Yeah. दृष्ट्वा त्वं तदेदं प्रथममुपगते पुण्यकाले जनौकाः पूर्णानन्दा विभावा सरसमभिजगुः त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि.
दृष्ट्वा धत्वां तदेदं प्रथममुपगते पुण्यकाले जनौघाः पूर्णानन्दा विपापाः सरसमभिजगुः त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि. दृष्टा दत्त्वां तदेदं प्रथममुपगते पुण्यकाले जनौघाः पूर्णानन्दा विपापाः सरसमभिजगुः त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि.
Stanza 6. Okay, we'll just change. Lata and Vasanta garu can be student. Chanuro mallavirastadanu nrupagira mushtiko mushtishahi tvam ramam chabhipede jhata jhatiti mito mushtipatati ruksham utpata patana karshana vividaranan yasatam tatra chitram mrityoh pragheva malla prabhuragamadayam bhurisho bandha mokshan. So next at Kamsa's order, there are two wrestlers who were actually lined up already, Chanura and Mushtika. So one of them is a wrestler, one of them is a boxer. Anyway, they are going to fight in the open arena only. So this Chanura is coming and telling to Krishna and Balarama, saying that, you know what, you both are very courageous people, kids, looks like. It looks like you're very strong because you got rid of Kuvalayapida. And we've heard of your powers. And that's why Kamsa has now summoned you both to actually have a wrestling match with us. And then he also does this banter, right? He says that you all, of course, cowherd boys. So you all must have a lot of experience with this, wrestling with each other, playing with calves. So it should not be a problem that you both can actually fight with both of us. So then Krishna then replies saying that, sure, the king has called, right? So which means we have to respect the king's orders. So that's why we have actually come here. But however, he says that, it's unfair that we who are 10-year-old boys will fight with somebody like you, Chanura and Mushtika, who are established wrestlers. So he says that it is not fair. That is, how can this be a fair fight? How will it give you any respect if you're fighting with kids like us, right? Then that's when Chanura says, you know what, you both look like children. But I saw what all you guys have done and what you did to the elephant, what you did to the bow and everything. And so you are good enough, you are strong enough. So I'm not going to feel guilty about fighting you boys. You guys are strong enough to fight with us. So with that, they both actually start fighting. So Krishna is paired with Chanura and Balarama is paired with Mushtika. So here Bhadripat says very nicely that when you wrestle, you kind of embrace each other, right? To wrestle. So it says that when you are actually attaching to something, attachment to something causes bondage, right? You will not get liberated when you attach yourself to something. But in this case, Chanura is getting attached to Krishna himself. So every time when Chanura is getting attached to Krishna, he's getting liberated. But then when he moves away, he's losing his liberation. So that is the battle that is actually going on. It says in this case, bondage is okay. So because you're getting bonded to the Lord, so Chanura is blessed. So anyway, there's a battle that goes on now between Chanura, Krishna, and Mushtika and Balarama also. So Chanuro Mallaviras Tadanu Nripagira, comma, Mushtiko Mushtishali, comma, Tvam Ramam Chabhipede, comma, Jhata Jhatiti Mito Mushti Patati Ruksham. Chanuro Mallavirastadanu Nripagira, Mushtiko Mushtishalhi, Tvam Ramam Chabhipede, Jhata Jhatiti Mito Mushti Patati Ruksham.
Chanuro. Sorry. Can I go ahead, Rajesh?
Yeah, go ahead.
Chanuro Mallavirastadanu Nrupagira, Mushtiko Muštishali, Tvam Ramanchapi Pede, Jata Jatiti Mito, Mushtipatati Ruksham. Chanuro Mallavirastadanu Nrupagira, Mushtiko Muštishali, Tvam Ramanchapi Pede, Jata Jatiti Mito, Mushtipatati Ruksham.
चानूरो मल्लवीरस्तदनु नृपगिरा मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामं चाभिपेदे छट छटिति मिथो मुष्टिपातातिरूक्षम् चानूरो मल्लवीरस्तदनु नृपगिरा मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामं चाभिपेदे छट छटिति मिथो मुष्टिपातातिरूक्षम्
Utpata Patanakarshana Vividha Ranan Yasatam Tatra Chitram. So that line is continuous and then comma at the very end. Mrityoho, put a F, Mrityov Prageva Malla Prabura Gamadayam, comma, Bhurisho Bandha Mokshan. Utpata Patanakarshana Vividharanan Yasatam Tatra Chitram. Mrityoh Prageva Malla Prabhuragamadayam Bhurisho Bandha Mokshan.
Utpata Patana Karshana Vivida Ranan Yasatam Tatra Chitram Mrityo Prageva Malla Prabhuragamadayam Bhurisho Bandha Mokshan. Utpata Patana Karshana Vivida Ranan Yasatam Tatra Chitram Mrityo Prageva Malla Prabhuragamadayam Bhurisho Bandha Mokshan.
उत्पाता पातनाकर्षण विविधरणान्यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्योः प्रागेव मल्लप्रभुरगमदयं भूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान् उत्पाता पातनाकर्षण विविधरणान्यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्योः प्रागेव मल्लप्रभुरगमदयं भूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान्.
Answer 7. Hadhikashtam Kumarau Sulalitavapushau Mallavirau Kathorau Nadrakshyamo Brajamastvaritamiti Jane Bhashamane Tadani Chanuram Tam Karodbhramana Bigaladasum Potayamasitorvyam Pishto Bhun Mushtigo Pidrutamata Halina Nashtashishtaidhadhade. So now when the two, the Krishna, Chanura, Mustika, Balarama are fighting, they're kind of blowing at, hitting each other, jumping on each other, running around each other, and they're dragging each other in circles. So the wrestling, standard, like whatever happens in wrestling, right, where they kind of come together, go away, all of that is happening, and it's going on for a while. So the audience, the Janaha, they are all talking about how, again, like we said earlier, that is very unfair that all these great people are sitting in the assembly, including Kamsa and all the great kings. And how do they find it fair that two 10 and 11-year-old boy are fighting with Chanura and Mustika? He says, what has come to this world? So they kind of start whining, kind of complaining about it, saying it is not fair. And at one point, they actually decide that it is not even worth sitting there, right? And they all start to leave. So Krishna is kind of playing around with Chanura and all for a while. And, when all these people start leaving because they are very worried, saying, we cannot see how these boys are going to get crushed at the hand of Chanura and Mustika when they start leaving. So at that time, Krishna then, turns Chanura over, and same thing that Balarama does to Mustika, and basically Chanura and Mushtika are pretty much dead, right? So they're gonna get rid of Chanura and Mushtika quickly, and all the other wrestlers who were there, they also start running away after this. So ha dhik kashtam kumarau sulalita vapushau, comma mallavirau katorau, comma na drakshyamo brajamas tvaritamiti, comma jane bhashamane tadani.
Rajesh, adu Sulalitava, Salalitava? Because I have
Sulalita.
Salalita.
Sulalita means very tender. Yeah.
Okay. Ha dikkashtam kumarau Sulalita vapushau Mallavirau katorau na drakshyamo vrajamastwaritamiti jane bhashamane tadani.
The second line, brajamas, the braja people, brajamas.
Vrajamastwaritamiti.
Yeah.
Ha dikkashtam kumarau Sulalita vapushau Mallavirau katorau na drakshyamo vrajamastwaritamiti jane bhashamane tadani.
हाधिकष्टं कुमारौ सुललितवपुषौ मल्लवीरौ कठोरौ न द्रक्ष्यामो रजामस्त्वरितमिति जने भाषमाने तदानीम् हाधिकष्टं कुमारौ सुललितवपुषौ मल्लवीरौ कठोरौ न द्रक्ष्यामो रजामस्त्वरितमिति जने भाषमाने तदानीम्
Chanuram tam karodbrahmana vigaladasum, comma potayam asitor vyam, comma pishtobhun mushtikopi drutamata halina, comma nashta shishtair dhadhave. Chanuram tam karodbrahmana vigaladasum potayam asitor vyam Pishto bhun mushtikopi drutamata halina nashta shishtair dhadhave.
Chanuram tam karod brahmana vigaladasum potayamasitorvyam pishto bunmushtikopi drutamata halina nashtashishtairtadave. Chanuram tam karod brahmana vigaladasum potayamasitorvyam pishto bunmushtikopi drutamata halina nashtashishtairtadave.
चाणूरं तं करोद्ब्राह्मणविगलदसुं पोथयामासिथोर्व्यां पिष्टो भून्मुष्टिकोऽपि द्रुतमतहलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्दधावे चाणूरं तं करोद्ब्राह्मणविगलदसुं पोथयामासिथोर्व्यां पिष्टो भून्मुष्टिकोऽपि द्रुतमतहलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्दधावे.
That's it. Kamsa samvarya turyam phalamati karyamaryan pitrum stanahantum vyaptamurte stavacha samashishad duramutsaranaya prushto dushtoktibhistvam garuda ivagirim mancha manchanudanchat khadga vyavalgadussangrahamapi chahatat pragrahir augrasenim. So when Krishna and Balarama now got rid of this Chanura and Mushtika, so they called all those Gopa friends, their friends were actually all accompanied, and then they all started dancing about in the middle of the arena. So when this happened, it's exactly like how it happens in the movies. Otherwise, I should say, otherwise the movies are exactly like what happens here, right? So when Kamsa sees all these boys jumping here, the first thing he does is he tells the music to stop, because there's music, the drums going around, right? All these things happen and the wrestling match happens, all this music is going on, and now Kamsa is really upset about it. So he first tells the musicians to stop the music, and then he says exactly like what all villains do. He says, if I cannot get hold of the heroes, I'm going to get hold of the heroes' families. So he issues an order saying, go arrest Nandagopa, who's here, go arrest Devaki, Vasudeva, Ugrasena, all of them you go arrest and put them in jail. And then says you drive this Krishna, Balarama away from all of these people to a place where he wants to then get rid of them. So when he issues these arrest orders, right, like all these villains do. So when that happens, then Krishna says, okay, finally the time has come. So, like I said in the beginning, I said Kamsa was sitting on the top dais. That's how I said when everybody was coming to the assembly. So everybody was seated. Kamsa was sitting on the top dais. So he says, just like how Garuda jumps up to the top of a mountain to grab a prey, Krishna then jumps up to the top of the balcony where Kamsa is sitting, and then he tries to get hold of Kamsa. So here, however, Kamsa then, that's why it says Khadga Vyaval. Khadga means a sword. So Kamsa then takes his sword and then he tries to deter Krishna from coming near. And then he's trying to kind of juggle Krishna, but Krishna has essentially jumped over to the dais to get hold of Kamsa. That is what is happening in this stanza. The Kamsa Vadam happens in the next one. So Kamsaha putta is Kamsa Samvarya Turyam, comma, Khala Matiravidan Karyam Aryan. If you want to break it, Karyam Aryan Pitrums. You have Pitrumsta and then a plus, right? So you put on the line, you put a plus there to join it. So Pitrumstan Ahantum. It may be easier to say it that way. So Karyam Aryan Pitrumstan Ahantum and then put a comma. Vyapta Murtes Tava Cha Samashishad Duram Utsaranaya. So one comma after Turyam in the first line, then after Ahantum in the second line. Kamsa Samvarya Turyam Kalamatiravidan Karyamaryan Pitrum Stanahantum Vyapta Murte Stavacha Samashishad Duramutsaranaya.
Kamsa samvarya turyam kalamatiraviden karyamaryan pitrunstan ahantum vyapta murtestavacha samashishat duramutsaranaya. Kamsa samvarya turyam kalamatiraviden karyamaryan pitrunstan ahantum Vyaptamurtestava cha samashishat duramutsaranaya.
Kamsa Samvarya Turyam Kalamatiravidan Karyamaryan Pitrum Stanahantum Vyaptamurte Stavacha Samashishadduramutsaranaya. Kamsa Samvarya Turyam Kalamatiravidan Karyamaryan Pitrum Stanahantum Vyaptamurte Stavacha Samashishadduramutsaranaya.
Rushto Duštokti Bhistvam, comma, Garuda Iva Girim Mancha Manchan Udanchat. If you want to break that, Mancha Manchan Udanchat, put a plus, Khadga Vyavalga Dus Sangrahamapi Chahatat, comma, Pragrahir Augrasenim. If you want to break that word, Augrasenim is the son of Ugrasena, which is Kamsa. Rushto Duštokti Garuda Ivagirim Mancha Manchanudanchat Khadga Vyavalga Dusangrahamapi Chahatat Pragrahir Augrasenim.
Rushto duštokti bistvam garuda iva girim mancha manchanudamshat kadga vyavalga dus sangramapi cha hatat pragrahi raugrasenim. Rushto duštokti bistvam garuda iva girim mancha manchanudamshat kadga vyavalga dus sangramapi cha hatat pragrahi raugrasenim.
Rushto Duštokti Garudaiva Girim Mancha Manchanudanchat Khadgavyavalga Dusangrahamapicha Hatat Pragrahi Raugrasenim. Rushto Duštokti Garudaiva Girim Mancha Manchanudanchat Khadgavyavalga Dusangrahamapicha Hatat Pragrahi Raugrasenim.
Answer 9. Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim Bhuvi Narapatimaapatya Tasyoparishta Tvaya Patyeta Deva Tvaduparipatitana Kinam Pushpa Vrishtihi Kim Kim Bhrumastadhani Satatamapi Biya Twadgatatma Sabheje Sayujyam Twadvadhota Parama Paramiyam Vasana Kalaneme. So now when Kamsa is kind of dodging with the sword, So Krishna then now grabs Kamsa by his hair, knocks off his crown, and then throws him from the dais to the wrestling mat, the kind of the down. And then there Krishna then gets on top of Kamsa, and then that becomes the end of Kamsa. Then he gets rid of Kamsa. So here Bhattaripat says that, no, Krishna, what can I say? This Kamsa always has been thinking about you, right? And he says he's been thinking about you in this Janmam right from the time, even before you were born, Kamsa has been thinking about you, right? He's been worried about you. And then he constantly, for the last 10 years, he's been thinking. And even in the previous night, he had visions of the Lord coming in with a chakram in his hand and all that. That's what Kamsa was done. And finally, he dies at your hand. So automatically, Sayujyam, he then gets your form. He just goes and merges into you, because all Kamsa has been doing is he's been thinking about you all the time. But the most important aspect of this is, it says in the very last line, Param Vasana Kala Nemehe. So anybody remembers where we spoke about Kala Nemi? Probably about 2 months back, we would have spoken about it. Now, yeah, 29th chapter, when we were talking about the how this before it came to the that was during the the Asuras and Devas are fighting the Mohini Avataram when we were talking. So in the 29th chapter, if you go back and look, stanza 7, it will say, Tvam Kala Nemi Matamali Mukanja Gandha Shakro Jagana Parilam Bhavava. So that stanza comes. So there, Kala Nemi was one of the son of Hiranyaksha, right? Or Hiranyakashipu. So this Hiranyakashipu, when he had Prahlada, he also had Kala Nemi. So this Kala Nemi was a very devout person of Hiranyakashipu, unlike Prahlada. And this Kala Nemi had 6 children. And these 6 children were not worshipping Hiranyakashipu. So because of which Hiranyakashipu got upset with the father, saying, you're not able to manage your child to worship me, right? The grandfather as a lord. Instead, they're worshipping Brahma. And this story will also continue into the 76. So I don't want to tell the whole thing here. So he then curses there, saying that you, Kala Nemi, will be responsible. You have to take birth, etc. So that Kala Nemi later on, during the Mohini Avataram, is killed at the hand of Narayana with a chakra. So even then, when he died, he was thinking about the Lord, but still his karma was not completely eliminated. So he had to take birth again. And then eventually he finally got. So he says, that's why you have Vasana. You have that Vasana of Narayana in you, O Kamsa. That's why you finally attain Sayujyam at the hand of the Lord, because it's a continuation of your previous birth where you are actually Kala Nemi. So Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim, Bhuvi Narapatim Apatya Tasyoparishtat. Put a plus at the end of that line. Tasyoparishtat. One it from the previous line. You can bring it here, so it will be easy to say. Tasyoparishtat Tvayapatye Tadaiva, Twadupari Patita Nakinam Pushpa Vrishtihi. So when this happens, of course, the gods, the Devas became very happy at the death of Kamsa, and then, Pushpa Vrishtihi, they showered flowers on you. Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim Bhuvi Narapatimaapatya Tasyoparishta Tvayapatye Tadaiva Twadupari Patita Nakinam Pushpa Vrishtihi.
Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim Bhuvi Narapati Maapatya Tasyoparishta Tvaya Patye Tadaiva Twadupari Patita Nakinam Pushpa Vrishtihi. Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim Bhuvi Narapati Maapatya Tasyoparishta Tvaya Patye Tadaiva Twadupari Patita Nakinam Pushpa Vrishtihi.
Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim Bhuvi Narapati Mapatya Tasyoparishta Tvaya Patye Tadaiva Twadupari Patita Nakinam Pushparushtihi. Sadhyo Nishpishta Sandhim Bhuvi Narapati Mapatya Tasyoparishta Tvaya Patye Tadaiva Twadupari Patita Nakinam Pushparushtihi.
Kim Kim Brumastadanim, Satatamapi Bhiya Tvad Gatatma Sabheje, put a plus, Sayujyam, and then put a comma. Twadva Dhota Parama Paramiyam Vasana Kala Nemehe. Kim Kim Brumastadanim Satatamapi Bhiya Tvad Gatatma Sabheje Sayujyam त्वद्वधोत्ता परमपरमियं वासना कालनेमेः
किं किं ब्रूमस्त
तदानीं
ब्रूमस्तदानीं सततमपि बिय त्वद्गतात्मा सबेजे सायुज्यं त्वद्वदोत परमपरमियं वासना कालने मेहे किं किं ब्रूमस्तदानीं सततमपि बिय त्वद्गतात्मा सबेजे सायुज्यं त्वद्वदोत परमपरमियं वासना कालने मेहे.
That on the fourth line after Sayujyam, there is a comma, okay?
Okay, sorry.
किं किं ब्रूमस्तदानीं सततमपि भिया त्वद्गतात्मा सभेजे सायुज्यं त्वद्वतोत्था त्वद्वतोत्था परमपरमियं वासना कालनेमेः किं किं ब्रूमस्तदानीं सततमपि भिया त्वद्गतात्मा सभेजे सायुज्यं त्वद्वतोत्था परमपरमियं वासना कालनेमेः.
That's it. तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमतपितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैर्यदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामधानैः भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवममरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपते रुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्. So after getting rid of Kamsa also had 8 brothers. So they also got rid of the 8 brothers also. And then finally Krishna released Ugrasena, who's Kamsa's father, also from the prison, right? Because he was again arrested and then made him the king of Mathura. Then of course Vasudeva, Devaki also got released. And then it talks beautifully about how Vasudeva, Devaki are now meeting Krishna and Balarama after 10 years or 11 years. But then they were not able to embrace because they were in that state where they really thought, you know what, this is the Lord himself. Suddenly, if the Lord comes and stands in front of you, you won't even feel like going and embracing. You'll be like, wondering, what do I do now, right? So that was a feeling they had, that they now realize that the Supreme Brahman is standing in front of me, but it is my child too, right? And they didn't know what to do. So they actually prostrated to Krishna and Balarama, as parents, saying that, they didn't know what was the right thing to do at that point. Anyway, so at that time, then Ugrasena becomes the king. Then Vasudeva, Devaki get freed, and Nandagopa is anyway, nothing happens to him. So then this is where a character is getting introduced called as Uddhava. This Uddhava is going to come through the rest of the Krishna avataram all the way. And if you remember Uddhava, I said it in the first class of Narayaneeyam who Uddhava was. He is the person who carries the idol of Krishna from Dwaraka. When Krishna departs at the end of the Dwapara Yugam, beginning of Kali Yugam, he gives an idol to Uddhava and says, Uddhava, you have to take care of this idol. And that is the idol which ends up in Guruvayur. So that's how close Uddhava was to Krishna. So that Uddhava is getting introduced here, saying how he is a Shishya of Brihaspati. So he's a very learned person. And then he says, Krishna, you get a great devotee and a great friend in Uddhava, in Mathura, and then you decide now to stay in Mathura. Which means, like we said, Krishna is no longer going to go back to Vrindavan or Gokulam, and Mathura becomes his place. So, Pavana Purapate, Lord of Guruvayur, please eradicate all the ailments I have. Tat bhratrun, tat bhratrun ashta pishtva, comma, drutamata pitarau, Sannamannugrasenam, put a plus, Krutva, Rajanam, Uchair, Yadukulam, Akhilam, comma. So one comma after Pishtva in the first line, then everything is continuous. And after Akhilam, comma, Modayan Kamadanaihi. Tadbhratrunashta Pishtva, Drutamatapitarau Sannamannugrasenam Kritva Rajanamuchairyedukulamakhilam Modayan Kamadanaihi.
Sorry. Tad bratranashta pishtva drutamata pitarau sannamanugrasenam kritva rajanamuchai yadukulamakhilam modayan kamadanaihi. तद्भ्रातृनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमत पितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैर्यदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः
तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमथ पितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैरदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमथ पितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैरदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः
भक्तानाम् उत्तमं चोद्धवम् अमर गुरोर aptanithim. I'm just breaking it. Chodhavam amara guror aptanithim sakhayam labdhva. Put a plus, then after labdhva, comma. Tushto nagaryam, comma again. Pavana purapate rundhi me sarvarogan. भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवममरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपतिरुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्.
Let me first break it. Bhaktana mutta mancho davamamar
Chodhavam, double da, chodhavam.
mancho davam maragur.
Chodhavam amara guror.
One second. Amaraguro raptanitim sakayam labdva tushto nagaryam pavanapurapate rundime sarvarogan bhaktanam muttam manchodavam amaraguro raptanitim sakayam labdva tushto nagaryam pavanapurapate rundime sarvarogan.
भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवम् अमरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपतेरुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान् भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवम् अमरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपतेरुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
Namaha.
The class here. सान्ध्वानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुर्पुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rajesh.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy July 4th.
Happy July 4th
Happy
everyone.
July
Bye.
4th.